And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, I'm Darren and welcome to 8th Day Chronicles here at Cross Timbers Farm. Glad to have you with us on this absolutely gorgeous spring day. We're out in our test plot, just doing some inspecting of the hay grasses, how's things coming along. Right now we're in kind of that lull where there's not much going on the farm as far as hay goes. We're just watching it grow. And I'm telling you, we have been dry. We're basically going into a serious rain deficit here in western North Carolina. We've got burn bans going on, wildfires going on in different parts of the areas, and it's just super dry. And we've not had any substantial rainfall probably in a month. We got some rain right after we sprayed our Prowl H2O. A shower that evening, maybe 2/10 of an inch, maybe a little more or a little less. It could be, it's somewhere in that area. But ever since then we've had none, and we had hardly none for weeks and weeks before that. And it's as dry as a bone. And it's shocking how well our test plot is growing compared to how dry it is. I'm out here right now with my grazing stick, and I'm gonna measure some of this grass right here where I'm standing. Our orchard grass is up to about 21 inches. That is amazing when you compare how dry it's been. And here comes Waya. Man, she's growing like a weed. And she's very attention seeking. She is, come here girl. She's just full of herself. She's turned out to be a good puppy. But right over here, I'm gonna step over and measure another place. As you can see, this hay grass is going really good. Shockingly by how dry it is. Right here, our hay grass right here, these are at least, I've got a 24-inch rule here. This stick measures up to 24 inches. And this right here is probably 28, 29 inches, but it's not all that tall. All of our hay grasses in the test plot's not quite that tall. That's probably the high end, 29, 30 inches, but the average I'd say is about right here. And let's just get a reading on this. Our average is about 19, 18 inches. So, and here it is. I think today is April 16. Earliest I've ever seen this green up and grow this fast. And I'm contributing that to having sheep on it this winter. It's done a fantastic job. And you may saw in the opening clip last night, we had our first lamb born on Cross Timbers Farm. Sheep's new to us. We raised goats for years. Sheep's new to us, and these are hair sheep, and they're shedding. And you may see in some of the clips that I take, they've just got big long pieces of shedded hair just hanging out. Their winter coat, they're shedding it. You don't have to shear these animals. That's the good thing about hair sheep. Plus, if you like to eat sheep or lamb, and I don't know why they call it lamb, you're not actually taking a baby lamb to the processor. That turns some people off, just the name. But you're taking a year-old animal to the processor. But a lot of sheep, I feel, and I could be wrong, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the sheep you buy in the supermarkets, if it says a product of Australia or somewhere like that, I'd be willing to bet most of that sheep meat you buy or lamb is from wool sheep, and it has lanolin they produce lanolin. And I feel that gives the meat kind of a odd little bit of a flavoring to it that's I personally don't prefer. But if you ever eat hair sheep, lamb that comes from hair sheep, man, I'm telling you, it is fantastic. Has none of that taste to it. You'd swear up and down you're eating prime A1 filet mignon beef. And that's our purpose for having the sheep here on our farm. Not only for lamb chops and feeding our families, but for this. Maintaining our pastures, cutting down on our fertilizer bill every year. Nothing compares to bringing life back to your soil like having livestock on it. Through late fall, winter, and early spring, move them off your hay fields once the growing season starts, put them back on dedicated pasture, and look at the results of these sheep being on this from mid-November 2025, and we moved them off about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Look how good it looks. This does a fantastic job in the sheep manure and urine and the foot traffic. And compare sheep manure to cow manure. Big cow patties, you don't have that with sheep. You have pellets and small piles of manure that get spread all over the hay field. You don't have to worry about using a manure spreader to evenly distribute it. The sheep do it for you. And so far, 2 thumbs up for what these sheep's doing in our hay fields. Now we are in the test plot, and the main field in the west field's not come along this far. This is more southern exposure. It grows usually about 2 weeks ahead of all the rest of our fields. Same soils, it's just the exposure that it gets. This soil over here warms up a little faster in the spring. We'll walk back in the main hay field. Take a look back there. What does a hay farmer do on these down times when you're just in the growing stage and you're just sitting back watching your hay grow? Well, for the last 3 or 4 days, we've been staining our barn. And yes, I used motor oil staining our barn, and it done a phenomenal job. Sealing up that wood with that oil soaking into it, preserving our barn, and keeping everything around the farm in good shape. I'll spin the camera around and let you see the barn, how good it looks with that new oil stain on it. Looks great. And we change our own oils and our farm implements and our vehicles and things like that. We got an abundance of used motor oil, and we use it to put on our trailer floors. We put it on the barn. Now, we don't use it on our home because of the smell and all that. Some folks will use 50-50 used motor oil and diesel fuel, and I've tried that in the past. I simply prefer just used motor oil. I've done it both ways. Used motor oil will stain a little darker. If you don't want your stain to be quite so dark, mix some diesel fuel in with it and it'll lighten it up some. But the color to me don't really matter like on a trailer floor. I just want the used motor oil on it. And our barn had been stained years ago with a commercial brown oil-based stain that was very expensive. And we did that a couple years ago. I guess it's been about 5 years. And it done really well. And it colored it kind of a brown. So the used motor oil really didn't much change the color of our barn. It's still brown and it's still wet looking in places. The motor oil takes about 2 to 3 weeks to really soak into your wood to where you can rub on it and it's no longer oily feeling. But give it a few weeks and the oil feel off the barn will be gone and it's preserved for another year. Finished staining our barn behind me yesterday. Finished it up. It took a couple days. Some ladders to get up high to get that stain really worked into this rough cut lumber wood that we used to build our barn. And man, I'm telling you, this used motor oil will really preserve your wood. Now, use motor oil on your stuff at your own choosing, your own discretion. I like it. So I know some folks that don't. they rather use a commercial stain. I stained this whole barn for basically a byproduct free from this maintenance in our vehicles and our farm equipment, things of that nature. And it done wonderful. All right, let's go to the rear pasture. The middle pasture, our main hay field, and then let's compare what we got up here. Right, what are you doing, pretty puppy? Huh? What are you doing, puppy? You getting big. You getting big. You want your belly scratched. Oh, does that feel good? You got them typical big old Pyrenees jowls hanging. That feel good? Huh? Here comes the old gal. Here comes the old gal. Here comes the old gal. Hey, Oakley. Hey, Oakley. You a good girl. We're in the main hay field and gonna walk around and see how effective the Prowl H2O spraying was on emergent weeds. Now, we sprayed for foxtail. That was our primary concern. That and some crabgrass. But most of the time, this knotroot foxtail does not start appearing in our hay fields until about June. That you really see it start coming on after first cut. But before first cut, our main thing is buttercup and some other small weeds. We have plantain and things like that. And I'm looking around and I'm not seeing hardly any buttercup coming up in this field, which means the Prowl H2O done its work. But let's take a look at this grass. You can see our main hay field has not grown to the size that our test plot has due to exposure. You can see way back here behind me in the west field, it's much the same as this one. It grows about the same speed and rate that this field does. So let's take a look. You can tell it's much, much shorter. And I'm just gonna go right over here, like right here. Here would be an average length. And this is only about 10 inches. So we got about a 10-inch average here with some spots, like right here, this one's up to 17. There's little bunches that's grown more, but a good average would be about 10 inches, somewhere in that area for our main hay field right now. And the west field is about the same. There's no need to even go as far as measuring, go measure it, because it grows about just like this field here. I know that from experience of growing hay in it for a couple years. We're looking forward to a good hay season, but I'm telling you, we need some rain. It has just been dry, 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 dry. If we don't start getting some rain, I can see our hay fields stalling, just holding status quo and not really growing much more. Because I was down here at the edge of the field yesterday and I took my boot and I just kind of kicked around in a place down there where the grass line stopped and the woods started. I got over where there was no grass and I just kind of kicked around, and good grief, it's just like powder. That dirt just went out in a dust bowl, just kicking around in it. And I found a stick and I dug down in the dirt just a little bit like that, and goodness gracious, 3 or 4 inches down, you could bend over, pick it up and let it go in the breeze and it wouldn't even fall, it'd just go off in the powder. It is so dry. And if we don't get some rain, I'm afraid our growth may come to a screeching halt, because it's getting to that point where I've noticed the last week, the growth has really slowed down. And if we go another 2-3 weeks without any rain, I can see it's completely stalling. And it's a busy time of year on the farm, but hardly very little to do with any hay. It's just right now just sitting and watching it grow, and it's gonna quit growing if we don't get some rain. It's already slowed way down in growing, and it's going, I'm afraid, to stall out and quit if we don't start getting some rain soon. But in the meantime, we're just doing farm chores, staining our barn, like I said. We've been doing things like that. We had a brand new lamb born on our farm last night. We came out yesterday and took care of the evening farm chores, the evening chickens, and there was no lambs then. We've got a couple of sheep pretty heavy bred right now, and they're close. And we came back out this morning to let our chickens out of the coop and things like that, or just 10-15 minutes after daylight. We got a new lamb in the field, pasture born. It's going to be pasture raised, grass fed, raised on pasture. You can't beat that. You just, in my opinion, that's opinion, you can't beat that. You see a lot of these big farms that will have lambing pens, and they put the ewe into a pen when she's ready to give birth, and they're raised in a pen, raised in a barn. And I get that, I guess, if that's the way you view things. But to me, a hardy animal born on pasture, and that's where they've been their entire life. You got a hardy animal that's going to thrive in a grass-fed environment. That's what we're after. Thanks for being with us for this short update, just on the happenings on the farm and the progress of our hay. It's slowing down if we don't get some rain. Thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it, and I pray God blesses you and your family. And we pray y'all have a fantastic day.